Hey everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into another fun-filled episode of the Twilight Zone. This time it's Season 3, Episode 10, The Midnight Sun. Came out November 16th, 1961, and another episode I haven't seen before. But before we get started, let's jump into your comments for last week's episode, Death Head Revisited. Mr. Gordberg2525 says, to me, this is the most important Twilight Zone episode, especially since the subject matter is unfortunately back to being relevant nowadays, and with the difference being the Jewish people now have a state and an army of their own. I'd also recommend that the third story of Night Gallery's pilot, Escape Route, as it's dealing with the same topic only in a different kind of chilling atmosphere. Yeah, we're definitely in a time where you could see things kind of wrap back around and repeat, as they say, and they say history does do that. I just don't understand how people can take one group of people and just demean them to the point where they want to have them blown off the face of the earth. It's crazy to me. I'm sure it's crazy to a lot of you out there who are watching, and it just doesn't make any rational sense why anybody would want to do that. But there are people out there who do, and they end up being raised up with these certain beliefs, and for some reason they end up seeing people in a different light than they see themselves. And hopefully we end up evolving past that at some point down the road. Who knows if that'll happen or not. I think there'll always be racism or sexism or any kind of isms. They will always exist at some point in our society, no matter what we do or how much we try to fight against it. It's just the way of the world, sadly, and it has been that way for thousands of years. Maybe one day things will change. But thanks for the comment. Alan Fieldstein 9761 says, kids and animals do not take priority over adults. You must value adult human life over every animal. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say every life. I mean, such as this episode, when you look at the value of that human life who took other human lives, I would say I would probably pick my dog over that Nazi. But, yeah, kids and animals, you know, they usually do take priority. I mean, typically they're the first ones on the boat when you go and load somebody during a flood or a burning building. They're the ones that are normally out first, and then, you know, after that, it's the adults, or I would say the women, and then last is usually the man to burn up in the blazing inferno behind them, or drowned, or whatever it is. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, everybody has a certain set of rules and values, I guess, that they have, so maybe animals don't take priority over certain human life, but, I mean, I understand where you're coming from when it comes to animals. Stephen Mark Hansen says, you can't hurt kids or animals, be vegan. Well, I don't know. I still like my meat. So, that's just where I stand when it comes to that. But I will not go out and hurt Bambi or hurt any kind of creature just for no reason. And there's people out there who do that. Richard Chase 2960 says, not the best episode, but I would recommend this episode to anyone at least once. I feel like a movie like Schindler's List is a must-watch at least once. Yeah, you are right. Schindler's List is definitely a one-time watch. I've seen it twice in my life. Once when it came out when I was very young. I watched it at a very young age, but I couldn't really comprehend everything that was happening. So I watched it maybe 10 years ago, and definitely a movie that I don't want to watch again just because it's so heavy. And there are only so many films where I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to watch it again. I get the gist of it, but I think everybody should at least watch it once just to see the horror and kind of live the experience of what the Jewish people went through during that time. And it was a very horrific time to be alive in Germany during 1945 if you were a Jewish person. So thank God those times are over, and hopefully those times don't come back again. Mike Thomas 4598 says, 1047. Before you even showed the episode, I clicked on this video for Shake My Head. Well, yeah, I guess sometimes I have long intros. It happens because I have people that write in, and I like to read the comments and kind of get them involved in the conversation. So, I mean, I guess just skip ahead to 1047 if you feel like not hearing what I have to say about the comments. But, hey, that's okay. Reign Supreme says, certain episodes, especially the ones that were relevant then and relevant now, had the best outro commentaries. Yeah, typically, I don't remember the commentary too much. I hear it, and then I kind of move on and do the review and whatnot. But, yeah, I usually like hearing what Rod Serling has to say at the end of every episode. And it's typically a life lesson or a lesson for humankind to just don't do these certain things, and maybe we'll come out of it on the other side. Jonathan Stein says, I love stories about karma finally catching up to the Nazis, so this episode has always been one of my favorites. I can definitely see why it was one of your favorites. It's a ghost story for one. It kept you on the edge of your seat in terms of what was going to happen to the actual guy. I kind of knew he was going to be punished when he was going back. I didn't know it was going to be an actual ghost story, not until the ghost actually did pop up. But when it did, then you're like, okay, I know where this is going. This guy's being judged for his past crimes after he's walking around this camp and taking in everything as if he is loving all the memories that came out of that place, when the majority who either died or walked out of the gates ended up looking back on that place horribly, just like the ghosts that still walk those grounds. Well, thanks for all the comments. Now let's get into the show and see what we're getting into.
The Twilight Zone.
Ooh. The sun's awfully bright. And it's pretty hot. I guess that's what I would be doing if the sun was that close and it was that hot. I don't think I could bear it. Well, the music is very erratic. Who's there? It's a little girl.
Susie, don't take the lady's water.
It's all right, Mr. Schuster. I've got plenty.
I'll let your kid have it.
For the last time, Mrs. Bronson, we're leaving.
Or two.
Where are you going?
To Toronto. We're trying to get to Toronto.
You know, I'm not so sure it's wise you're trying to do this. And what with the gas shortage and everything.
I know that. It's been nice living here. You're good neighbors. Let's go, honey.
See you later.
Good luck.
We're all counting on you.
Safe trip.
Burst in the flame.
And now we are too. Building's empty now, except for you and me.
What happens now?
You all die.
Aren't you gonna leave?
No. You know, Mrs. Bronson,
You have nowhere to go?
getting this crazy thought that I'm gonna wake up and none of this will have happened. I'll wake up in a cool bed. Shadows on the sidewalk. A moon.
Sounds like a nice night.
Garbage cans.
There was a scientist on the radio this morning. He said that it'll get a lot hotter, more each day, now that we're moving so close to the sun. That's why.
Unable to put into the hot, still, sodden air is doomed. 1 month ago, the Earth suddenly changed its elliptical orbit day by day, took it closer to the sun.
That's not good.
The time is 5 minutes to 12, midnight. The place is New York City, and this is the eve of the end. And you're about to spend it in the Twilight Zone.
That's a bad way to go. Getting close to the sun, slowly getting hotter, Earth turning into a oven.
The store was open.
Wide open. Oh, I think that's the first time in my life I was ever sorry I was born a woman. Just a handful of people taking what they could grab. Well, at least we won't starve anyway.
We'll burn to death.
Oh, Norma, could we open a can now? Where's the can opener?
Oh, in the other drawer.
No!
I'm acting just like an animal, aren't I?
Just like a frightened woman, that's all. Running up and down the aisles. With that, I think I was the calmest person in the store. One woman just stood in the middle of the room and cried, pleading for someone to help her.
Ladies and gentlemen, station WNYG.
What do you have to say?
Keep your doors locked and prepare to protect yourselves if necessary with any weapons you may have. And citizens remaining in New York may have to protect themselves from the cranks and looters from the Weather Bureau.
Great.
The temperature stood at 110 degrees at 11 o'clock this morning. Forecast for tomorrow, hot. More of the same, only hotter.
Really hot.
I don't care. Who are they kidding with this weather report stuff? Heat up soup in the ocean and get help from wandering maniacs if you choose.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm told that my departing from the script might panic you. Let me alone. Let go of me.
We can't allow the people to know the truth.
You're not the only one who's frightened. Here we are.
I thought you wanted it.
It's grapefruit juice.
No, I can't. I can't live off you like this, Norma. You need it for yourself.
We're going to have to start living off each other from now on.
Until you can't anymore, I guess.
He's looking at you.
Uh-oh. There goes the power. Well, things just got really crappy.
Current's off again.
Stays on a shorter time each day. What if it shuts off and doesn't come back on again?
I'd probably go to the basement.
Oh, Norma, it could be so much worse. Norma, please paint something cool today. Paint something pastoral. Waterfall and trees bending in the wind.
Something inviting.
Don't paint the sun anymore! Don't paint the sun anymore!
You're going crazy, lady. Commercial break. Water. Almost off the temperature gauge there.
Mrs. Bronson?
I think she might have died.
Mrs. Bronson?
Nope, she's still around.
It's so quiet, I haven't heard a sound.
Do you get any sleep?
I laid down a while. What was that?
Walking.
Didn't you lock the roof door?
Yes. No, I thought I did.
Uh-oh. Who's there?
Hey, somebody in there? Come on out. Come on out, baby. Come on out and be friendly. I ain't got all day.
That sounds like a bad guy. She have a gun? She has a gun.
Down the stairs and out the front door. Leave us alone.
I never argue with a lady with a gun.
Is he actually leaving? I'd keep the gun. I wouldn't drop it.
He hasn't come out the front door yet.
No!
Gun! Kill him. Shoot. Something. Oh my god. You let him have it.
Crazy dames. It's too hot to play games.
Now, there's so many other people that you can go into and to find water. I don't understand why you would have to come in and steal somebody else's water. Pretty.
You do this? You're good. You paint real good.
Thanks.
Alone, we didn't do you any harm, please.
Thank God.
I'm not a housebreaker.
Well, you just broke into this one.
I swear to you, I'm a decent man. Walking around all day trying to find some water. I wouldn't do you any harm.
Or you came out like a madman, you jerk.
Honest, please believe me. Please forgive me, would you?
No.
Please forgive me.
You're forgiven, now leave.
Why don't we just burn up?
Yeah, this is a weird one. How will it end, I wonder? These seem like good people that don't deserve this sort of ending. Hey, the waterfall.
I painted it for you last night. It's for you.
Oh, it's beautiful, Norma. And I love the sound of it. That wonderful blue water tumbling over the rocks. Wonderful, cool, clear water. You do hear it, Norma, don't you? That wonderful sound.
She's going nuts. I think the heat's getting to her.
We could swim in that waterfall. Let's do that. Let's swim in it, shall we?
How?
I used to do that when I was a little girl.
The music is ramping up.
And let the water come down over me.
What is she doing?
Mrs. Bronson. Mrs. Bronson.
R.I.P. Is this where it ends? Oh man, our painting is melting. The end is near. And now she's dead. Oh! Was it a dream?
Norma,
And she had like a fever or something?
you've been running a very high fever, but I think it's broken now.
You were so ill, but you're going to be all right now. Isn't she, Doctor? Isn't she going to be all right?
We'll put her outside and make her real cold.
I wish I had something left to give her, but the medicine's pretty much all gone now. I'm afraid I won't be able to come back. I'm going to try to move my family south tomorrow.
What?
Oh, they say on the radio Miami is warmer.
So we're in a world where it's all the opposite now.
How the Earth had changed its orbit and was starting to move away from the sun. Maybe 3 weeks at the most, there wouldn't be any more sun.
Well, that's a way to wake up. Like, oh man, thank God I woke up into a nice, peaceful area, and now we're in the opposite situation, but with the same outcome.
Daylight all the time. Midnight sun. Wasn't any night at all. No night at all. Wonderful to have darkness.
Nope. That's a horrible wish in this world.
Poles of fear, the extremes of how the earth
Maybe it's a dream within a dream.
respectfully submitted by all the thermometer watchers in the Twilight Zone.
That is not a good ending. I mean, it's a good ending, but not for them. Well, that was episode 10. Very bleak ending for that episode. I thought she was waking up into a world of normalcy. I didn't think she was waking up to a place where everything is getting colder and colder because it's not going closer to the sun. We're getting further away from it. And I don't know, which way would you prefer to go? Getting closer to the sun or going away from it and freezing to death? I don't know. Maybe freezing to death would be a little better than actually burning up and dying from heat stroke or something along those lines, or burning to death. Who knows? There's a lot of ways you can go either way, but I think if it gets so cold to the point you just end up passing out and dying, you don't really feel it in comparison. Actually, when you die in the weather, almost like the people on Everest, they kind of just start freezing up, getting tired, and they just kind of pass out and die. That might be a better way to go. So I think if I had to have the choice in front of me, I would probably go with away from the earth. But anyways, I would prefer none of them. Hopefully nothing like that ever happens and we won't have to go through that kind of situation. But let's jump into some trivia and see what it took to get this episode off the ground. To create the melting painting effect, the painting was reproduced in wax and mounted to a hot plate. Oh, okay. Mrs. Bronson says the painting reminded her of the tallest waterfall in Ithaca, New York, probably Tahanic Falls. Tahanic Falls Park, 11 miles north of Ithaca, where Rod Serling lived and where they taught at Ithaca College for several years. Rod Serling's original script featured two characters who did not appear in the finished episode, a police officer and a refrigerator repairman. Those roles are significant not only because Serling wrote them, but because he went so far as to cast them before he cut them from the script. Ned Glass was slated to be the repairman and John McClam the police officer. Why they were cut probably traced back to Twilight Zone's budget problems, which had been growing significantly since James T. Aubrey Jr. became chief executive of CBS in the show's second season. Several problems occurred during the shooting of Self-Improvement of Salvador Ross, 1964. When Norma unpacks her groceries, there are a bunch of carrots, a loaf of bread with some named Gordons, and at least one can of grapefruit juice. Well, that's it for this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue on this voyage to episode 156 of The Twilight Zone. Until next time, see you later.